Live from New York, you're watching News Always On. I'm Kessyl. Twitter is freaking out over what Trump had said in a rally in Florida. He made a statement saying that a photo ID is required for everything except voting, and that includes buying groceries. Here's the clip, so let's watch it.
We believe that only American citizens should vote in American elections, which is why the time has come for voter ID, like everything else. Voter ID. You know, if you go out and you want to buy groceries, you need a picture on a card. You need ID. You go out and you want to buy anything, you need ID and you need your picture. In this country, the only time you don't need it, in many cases, is when you want to vote for a president, when you want to vote for a senator, when you want to vote for a governor or a congressman. It's crazy.
During the daily press briefing on Wednesday, Press Secretary Sarah Sanders defended the president, saying that an ID would be used to buy a beer or wine. A reporter later asked when was the last time the president went to a grocery store. Of course, the internet got in on the game, and here's what I think are some of the best, so let's check it out. So one of these tweets, it says that reflecting on how detached one must be from humanity to not know what it's like to go to a grocery store. It explains a lot about Trump, actually. I want our next president to have to be able... Can we go back to the picture again? To have to be in a grocery store before. The bar is that low right now. Let's move on to the next one. So here we can see a picture of Hillary Clinton and former President Obama saying that, wait, it gets better. And then he said that you need an ID to buy groceries. Hashtag Trump grocery stores. And the next one is they actually made fun of like an ID that you actually need a grocery store identity card. Next one. And then here's a tweet saying that when Barack Obama was president, I could buy groceries without an ID. Now with this federally mandated, I have to show an ID. Make grocery stores great again. And here's a picture of Barack Obama and Joe Biden saying that you need an ID to buy groceries. And so here's a picture of Ellen DeGeneres and Michelle Obama, because I think it's funny, you know. Then I ask myself, maybe the president really don't have the time to do their own grocery shopping. But again, the former First Lady did it with Ellen. Seems like Trump is not the only one being seen as and out of touch with ordinary Americans that has caused embarrassment for other US politicians as well. Hillary Clinton was mocked for revealing in 2014 that she had not driven a car for nearly 2 decades. In 1992, President George W. Bush was ridiculed after he expressed amazement at a supermarket scanner while attending a grocers convention. But the White House said Mr. Bush was merely impressed the machine could read damaged labels. CBS says it's hiring 2 law firms to investigate recent allegations of sexual misconduct against the company's chairman and CEO, Les Moonves. CBS's board of directors say the investigation will be led by Nancy Kestenbaum and Mary Jo White. Kestenbaum is a former federal prosecutor in New York, and White is a former chair of the U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission. Les Moonves remains in charge of CBS after 6 women accused him of sexual assault and harassment in an article published by The New Yorker last week. Here is more on the story. Released online on Friday, Moonves was the subject of a Ronan Farrow piece in The New Yorker, where 6 women accused Moonves of sexual harassment. According to the article, the women had professional dealings with Moonves between the 1980s and the late aughts. 4 described forcible touching or kissing during business meetings, in what they said appeared to be a practice routine. 2 women said that Moonves physically intimidated them or threatened to derail their careers. All said that he became cold or hostile after they rejected his advances, and that they believed their careers suffered as a result. Julie Chen, Moonves' wife, wrote on Twitter saying, I have known my husband Leslie Moonves since the late 90s, and I've been married to him for almost 14 years. Leslie is a good man and a loving father, devoted husband and inspiring corporate leader. He has always been a kind, decent, and moral human being. I fully support my husband and stand behind him and his statement. On Sunday night, the couple was spotted at Nobu, Malibu, and their group of friends. A Hollywood insider said, quote, Les is out instead of hiding. He went to one of the biggest and most powerful places in Hollywood. This is a statement. If you want to see anyone or be seen, you are going to Nobu. In a segment on The Late Show Monday night, 3 days after he was accused of the sexual harassment, Stephen Colbert argued that if we aren't willing to demand that everyone answer for the terrible things they've done, even the people we like, then we aren't really aiming for justice. Colbert said, quote, make no mistake, Les Moonves is my guy. He hired me to sit in this chair. He stood behind the show when we were struggling to find our voice. He gave us the time and the resources to succeed, and he has stood by us when people were mad at me. I liked working for him, but accountability is meaningless unless it's for everybody. He added, it's strange to have to say this powerful man taking advantage of relatively powerless employees is wrong. We know it's wrong now, and we knew it was wrong then. And how do we know when we knew it was wrong then? Because we know this man tried to keep the stories from coming out back then. The media company said it takes all allegations of personal misconduct seriously. It said the independent directors are investigating claims that violate the company's clear policies in that regard. CBS stock fell 6%, its worst one-day loss in nearly 7 years, as the reports of the misconduct allegations began to circulate around noon Friday, triggering investor concerns Moonves might be forced to step down. The CBS chief has been a towering figure in television for decades, credited with turning around a network that had been marred for years at the bottom ratings. The company did not mention Moonves by name, but said it issued the statement in response to the upcoming New Yorker article. A CBS statement said, quote, upon the conclusion of the CBS board members' investigation, which involves recently reported allegations that go back several decades, the board will promptly review the findings and take appropriate action. Moonves is the latest media giant to become embroiled in sexual misconduct allegations since the downfall of Hollywood producer Harvey Weinstein in October that triggered the Me Too social media movement. He is also one of the most powerful executives in media, having led CBS for 2 decades, including the 12 years since its split from Viacom. He revived the company which operates the CBS network, Showtime, and other entities, with hit shows like NCIS and The Big Bang Theory. He also introduced separate streaming CBS and Showtime services as more people could cut the cord and watch TV online. The network consistently tops in primetime ratings. According to an executive data firm, Moonves was the number 2 highest paid CEO of a major public company in 2017, making $68.4 million last year. Before joining CBS, he was president of Warner Brothers Television, where he oversaw the development of hit TV shows like Friends and ER. Moonves, who is married to TV personality and CBS producer Julie Chen, was inducted into the Television Academy Hall of Fame in 2013, where he also won the Milestone Award from the Producers Guild of America that year.
This is a story that I've been investigating for the last 8 months. It involves 6 women overcoming a lot of fear of retaliation to tell very serious stories of sexual misconduct about Les Moonves, one of the most powerful men in television. But it also involves dozens of sources talking about the corporate culture around Les Moonves and raising allegations that he promoted individuals who were the target of a lot of similar allegations. And, we talk to experts who say this is an opportunity to look at how our most important corporate institutions treat vulnerable people coming forward with these kinds of charges, because this is a set of individuals and a company that has been followed by these allegations for a long time. Anytime you do a story about something this serious, these kinds of allegations, the commitment to fairness is absolute and really important for everyone involved. And CBS got a very long window in which to respond to every facet of this, and we made sure that every one of those responses was reflected in this story. This was not the first time this company was facing allegations of this type from the press. We talk about how a subset of these charges about the news division at CBS were raised by the Washington Post in recent months, and how the reporters at the Post received a lot of threats and a really robust campaign to shut down that story. In this case, I have to say, while we received some of that from some of the individuals involved in the story, Mr. Moonves and the CBS Corporation were responsive, and as you've seen in their responses we include in the story, there's a fair degree of contrition that's suggested in Mr. Moonves' statement.
The White House announced Wednesday the U.S. will impose sanctions on 2 Turkish officials over a detained American pastor who is being tried on espionage and terror-related charges. Here is more.
The president has been closely following the ongoing situation in Turkey involving Pastor Andrew Brunson. We've seen no evidence that Pastor Brunson has done anything wrong, and we believe he is a victim of unfair and unjust detention by the government of Turkey. At the president's direction, the Department of Treasury is sanctioning Turkey's Minister of Justice and Minister of Interior, both of whom played leading roles in the arrest and detention of Pastor Brunson. As a result, any property or interest in property of both ministers within U.S. jurisdiction is blocked, and U.S. persons are generally prohibited from engaging in transactions with them.
Those vocal supporters to be menacing toward journalists doing their jobs in a situation like that or in any situation?
On the first part, the president condemns and denounces any group that would incite violence against another individual, and certainly doesn't support groups that would promote that type of behavior. We've been clear about that a number of times since the beginning of the administration. On the second part of your question, the president, as I just said, does not support violence against anyone or anything, and we've been very clear every single time we've been asked about that. To build on that partnership and advance cooperation, and I think you'll see that at the meeting. When it comes to the media, the president does think that the media holds a responsibility. We fully support a free press, but there also comes a high level of responsibility with that. The media routinely reports on classified information and government secrets that put lives in danger and risk valuable national security tools. This has happened both in our administration and in past administrations. One of the worst cases was the reporting on the U.S. ability to listen to Osama bin Laden's satellite phone in the late 90s. Because of that reporting, he stopped using that phone and the country lost valuable intelligence. Unfortunately, it's now standard to abandon common sense ethical practices. This is a two-way street. We certainly support a free press. We certainly condemn violence against anybody, but we also ask that people act responsibly and report accurately and fairly.
Nobody was being violent last night. They were trying to prevent a broadcaster from getting his broadcast out and yelling that his network sucks. Is that right or wrong?
While we certainly support freedom of the press, we also support freedom of speech, and we think that those things go hand in hand.
That's all the time we have for now, but Apple has become the world's first public company to be worth $1 trillion. That is 12 zeros. Apple is beating like Silicon Valley rivals like Microsoft, Facebook, and Amazon. Apple shares have soared about 50,000% since the company first started in 1980. For News Always On, I'm Kessyl, and I'll see you later.